Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's April 4th, 2017. The big news headline today, a chemical weapons attack in Syria. What I'm going to show you in this video is how this is contrived propaganda made for television audiences to legitimize the ongoing military agenda against the Middle East region. From September 11th on, the Western world has been engaged in a conspiracy to dupe the people of the nations they govern over into thinking there's this Islamic threat out there. It's a threat to its own region. It's a threat to people outside of the region, and it needs to be dealt with. This is all based in lies contrived in the media, including September 11th and all of the related stories we've heard across the world since. Anytime there's these big breaking headlines about Islamic terrorism, what it truly is the Western world leadership terrorizing their own people and other parts of the world's people. This is the West. These are the terrorists. And if you look at who runs the West, it's the banker tyrants at the top. And the banker tyrants at the top are Jewish and they're Masonic. And this has a lot to do with Israel and Israel's ongoing agenda. Israel is a military agenda of a nation that did not start with World War II. That is a very popular lie taught to the mainstream. The formation of Israel and the planning for Israel began before World War I even started. And the only reason the United States ever joined World War I was with the promise that Israel would be created. That's because the same people who run the United States are the same people who run these other Western nations, which again are banker tyrants who are Jewish and Masonic. That's not to say that all Jewish people are bad. It is just to say the truth of who is responsible for this agenda. If you're someone out there saying that radical Islam's a threat to the world, you are repeating Jewish lies that have been programmed into you. Understand, the people of the Middle East, the Muslim populations, they are the greatest enemy of the Jewish Zionists, and that's why they're demonized in the media they control. And they demonize them by creating these false propaganda stories by the numbers ritualistically. Now, what we're going to get into is how today's news, April 4th, 2017, is perfectly synced up with the chemical weapons attack in Syria from August 21st, 2013. Let me take you back in case you forgot. This is the United States of amnesia. Nobody remembers anything past Monday. August 21st, 2013, bogus news propaganda, very obviously fake, presented in the media that Bashar al-Assad, the leader of Syria, was connected to a chemical weapons attack on his own people. If you can recall, the media was reporting that day that between 30 people and 2,000 people had died, depending on where the information source was coming from. And I was saying, what in the world? How can you have that big of a disparity? 30 to 2,000? They're doing something similar today. Today they're saying between 58 and 500. I mean, that's still a big disparity, but it's the same type of stuff. And it's very obvious propaganda. If you've seen the news today, you've seen your news anchors saying things like, remove the children from the room before we show you these graphic images. And then they show you little babies who are smiling, who probably don't have a clue what's going on. They're showing grown men who you can tell nothing are wrong with them, and they're just staring at the camera. For all we know, those people in the room laying down in the beds, they were told, they're participating in some drill. Maybe they're getting a few bucks to participate in some study. This is how they contrive this propaganda. These people don't even have a clue how their images are being put out. It's just such an obvious joke. And if you've ever seen the film WAG the Dog, which came out in the 90s, which told us all how the powers that shouldn't be create fake news to steer the herd, check out that movie. Today's news, the August 21st, 2013 news, it's no different. It's WAG the Dog. So there's a lot of interesting things that we're going to get into. If you're new here, we talk about the language of gematria, which is very important to the Jewish mystical religion Kabbalah, and gematria is also important to Freemasonry. Freemasonry, the keepers of knowledge, the invisible architects of society, they pride themselves on keeping all this old world knowledge. This is what numerology and gematria are. This old world knowledge is used in staging these false flags for the rituals that they are. So look, today's April 4th, the 94th day of the year. When you write out 94, it sums to 147, just like when you write out chemical weapons. And here we have a chemical weapons attack, contrived propaganda on the 94th day of the year. This number 147 is very special to Freemasonry, conspiracy, false flags of the past. Come to my blog and just search 147 in the top left corner. You'll be reading here for 3 straight months. See the recent work I did on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and 42 and 147? Watch the video I just put out on April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day is a day on the calendar that's trying to clue people into what's really going on in this world. In truth, every day is April Fool's Day because for all of our lives, we've all been lied to about everything from this same gang. They control the media, they control the information that gets out, which controls the mind's eye of the masses. And these people steer the masses with lies that are meant to prey on us. Fear. They use fear because fear controls. This is all about control. You read the original definition of terrorism. The original definition of terrorism was government by intimidation, which is exactly what we have in many Western nations. Government by intimidation. It's all about control. Look up what the original definition of government is. Mind control. That's what the original definition is. And of course it is. Look at what government wants from us. Government wants to control our behavior from birth, tell us what should be in our body, what to believe, what to do, what school to go to, what education's important, what chemicals you can consume. Alcohol good, marijuana bad. Cigarettes good, marijuana bad. This doesn't make any sense. Marijuana is a medicine. Alcohol, alcohol destroys. Tobacco and the rolled cigarettes that you get from these companies really kills. I know people that roll their own tobacco and use organic tobacco. It's not nearly as bad. But compared to marijuana, it doesn't have the medicinal benefits. Now ask yourself, why is marijuana illegal? It's because it's a miracle plant from God that does so many things. Hemp can be used for everything. Marijuana can be used to cure all sorts of illness. People have, marks on their body, things that doctors say they can't get rid of. They start putting some, marijuana oil on it. Next thing you know, it's gone. Comes from the earth. It's because we live in a world of lies that's for profit, war for profit, health for profit, or more like illness for profit, purposefully making people sick to make money off them. This is what's going on in the world. It's deeper than just today's news. It's every day. So anyway, 94th day of the year, Freemason rituals, right for a chemical weapons attack. We got to cover a lot more here. If you're new to my channel, I'm always talking about the number 223. Very important to Freemasonry. We just had the March 22nd false flag 22/3 in London with the big red helicopter, with the Freemason compass and square on side, with the word Freemasons of London on the side. Freemasonry believes in divide and conquer, order out of chaos. I shouldn't have to explain anymore. Just think about what they give us in the news every day. Fear, 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 division, division, division. Hate, hate, hate. Believe, believe, believe. But anyway, Syria gas attack. CNN putting up graphics on the screen. Syria gas attack. Remove your children from the room. Syria gas attack 223. They're saying that the people who've survived this attack are being taken to hospitals in Turkey. Modern-day Turkey is where biblical Philadelphia is. In Revelation, the final book of the Bible, there's a letter written to the Church of Philadelphia that says the false Jews will rule in the end times, and their name is the Synagogue of Satan. Philadelphia 223, the Synagogue of Satan 223, false Jews. What do the Jews go by? They go by the 39 books in the Old Testament. Masonic history based in the Old Testament, Solomon's Temple, ancient Israel, major overlaps between Freemasonry and the Jewish religion, Masonics 223 as well. And again, this is all Freemasonry. That's why on March 22nd, you got this major false flag in London with the big red Freemason helicopter on display. A year earlier on Belgium, same thing. It had been 223 weeks to the day since the last attack in Belgium. The metro station that blew up, Melbeek metro station, equaled 223, plus a million other things. They use this number again and again in false flags. From the August 21st, 2013 chemical weapons attack in Syria, where Obama and John Kerry wanted to rush off to war, to today is 1,322 days. Notice the 223 sequence within that number. 322 is also important. Military-industrial complex equals 322. Remember, the last Republican president was George W. Bush, member of Skull and Bones, that identifies by 322. Tim Russert asked him and John Kerry about being in Skull and Bones 322 on Meet the Press. Tim Russert would die at age 58 at 2:23 in the afternoon while on vacation with his son, as reported in the media. Dead at 2:23 for asking those two men from Skull and Bones who were running against each other in 2004 for president of the United States about 322. You know, 322, the number. Bush was president when we went into Iraq after the false flag on 9/11 and Afghanistan. Remember, Operation Shock and Awe began March 22nd, 322, military-industrial complex. If you don't know where that term comes from, it's Eisenhower, the 34th president. His closing speech was a warning for the nation about how the military in this nation was for profit, it was growing, it was hungry, and if we didn't stop what was in motion, it would grow to a nightmare beyond what anyone could ever imagine. Our own president said that to us. And it's amazing how we live in an information age, and anybody can watch Eisenhower's speech on the military-industrial complex, and people think that there's not a real conspiracy going on. You know, to lie people into war. Our own president told us there was. The 34th president. You know, that was a long time ago, and people still haven't caught on. So anyway, 1,322 days ago, we're going to talk about the major overlaps between these two dates. Very interesting that it has that sequence in there in numbers. In case you forget the 2013 attack, this is the United States of amnesia. In case you forget, John Kerry, Barack Obama wanted to go to war, but then Obama decided he was going to put it up to vote, and the vote didn't pass. It was actually amazing. I was shocked then. I thought, oh wow, this is the first time I've ever seen my nation not go to war when it was ready to. It's because it's all part of an agenda. You know, that was just a preview. And I said then, you know, back then I used to just be on Facebook and I was telling everybody, I said, this is just a setup. This is all part of their planned narrative. This is going to come back around at some point. Well, here we are. We have Donald Trump, who in December said that the worst thing that Barack Obama did while president was not attack Syria after the chemical weapons attack. He said that if he was president then he would have attacked Bashar al-Assad and gotten rid of his regime. And that wasn't that long ago. That was just before he was sworn in. That was also after that was while he was president-elect he said that. And you know what's funny is just days ago he changed his stance, Trump, and he said, I've changed my position. We're no longer for regime change in Syria. So that means that essentially he's not focused on Bashar al-Assad, he's not focused on Syria. Well, now this has just happened. Now there's a chemical weapons attack there, and he just said that if he was president when there was the chemical weapons attack in Syria, he would have attacked Bashar al-Assad and gotten rid of him. So what's going to happen now? You know, just understand this is all contrived. The news is even making a big deal about this morning that just days ago Trump said Syria is off the table. And what they're saying is it because Trump said that the terrorists felt they had the green light to attack? This is what makes me sick, is that people have not caught on to the games that are going on here yet and how we're just living out this planned narrative, this ongoing agenda. Donald Trump is a puppet. He just says what he's told to say every single day. He has no authority. He is a man on strings. He has no freedom. He's just willing to play the part that he plays, the divisive orange Oompa Loompa, the part buffoon. He's a lot like George W. Bush, but somehow even less likable. I used to really hate George W. Bush, but it's funny, in 2017, I would do anything to have him back as the president again, because at least he used to make me laugh just the way he would stumble over the simplest of sentences. That was one dumb motherfucker that was the president. I was 17 when he was selected, and I said, where the fuck do I live, and what the fuck is wrong with everybody around me who doesn't see what I see? And then September 11th happened, and then I really said, what the fuck? You know, that's when I knew there was something really wrong with this nation, that people could not see through that bogus bullshit. A nation that spends trillions on defense, and they're telling you a man in a cave pulled off all that? Oh no. Oh no. They couldn't find the plane, but they found the cloth turbans, the box cutter knives, and the terrorist passports. Think about the powers that shouldn't be, the kind of balls you have to put out that kind of information and know you're going to get away with it. You know, that's how I know I'm not like the people that live around me. You know, the people that I see in this world, they're not me. Whatever people are, I'm not one of them. You got to be a fucking moron to not see what's going on in this world, and that's pretty much all I see, a bunch of fucking morons. So sadly, I've had to isolate myself from so many people because I just can't stand to be around these stupid blind people. These stupid blind people make me sick because they're so arrogant about their ignorance, you know? Bunch of know-it-alls that know nothing. So, you know, for more by the numbers and Freemasonry, from Inauguration Day to today's news is 74 days. If you follow my channel, you know all about this number, 74. Masonic 74, Jewish 74, Killing 74, Occult 74, Independence Day 74, Holiday 74, English 74, Gematria 74, Alphabetic Order 74. There's a reason the nation's birthday is 7-4, and it has to do with the fact that it's a Jewish banker, tyrant, warmonger agenda that began with the genocide of a nation, and that has been lying to its people ever since. And part of the reason they lie to us and keep us busy with all these distractions is so we don't have time to think about, you know, how we've been lied to. We can't even keep up with it. It's a new lie every single day. It's a new distraction every single day. So anyway, 74 days into Trump's administration, what do you know? They said the attack happened at 6:30 in the morning. They said it happened in this town of Khan Shaykhun. Khan Shaykhun. You know, between Aleppo and Damascus. Last time it was down here. This time it's a little more north. Aleppo and Damascus, often in the headlines. The Damascus attack was truly in Ghouta, which is the suburb of Damascus. Look, today's town Khan Shaykhun has gematria of 144, just like Ghouta, Syria also has gematria of 144. Today's attack comes on April 4th. Today is the one date out of the calendar year that sums to 144. When you write out April 4th, it sums to 144. When you write out 44, it also sums to 144. And when I made this discovery once upon a time, I said, no wonder. This is why 40 is spelled the mutilated way we spell it. Why is there no U in 40 in light of how we spell 4? It only makes sense that a U should be there, but it's not. And the reason why is because this language is based in gematria. 100%. Always has been. Just like I said, English 74, gematria 74, alphabetic 74, gematria is a Jewish practice, Jewish 74, Masonry is Jewish, Masonic 74. It's not hard to see. Jesus is 74, cross is 74, Messiah is 74, gospel 74. If you're thinking every single word sums to 74, it isn't so. Out of the 50 states, only one sums to 74, and it's the 33rd state, the number of Freemasonic obsession. It's Oregon, the 33rd state. Think about Jesus on the cross at 33. Jesus 74, cross 74. Crucifix equals 93, God's Son 93. Oregon's the only state with a 93 date establishment. Anyway, this number 144 has a lot to do with time. The March 22nd false flag in London, the attack was at 1440 military time. Yesterday's false flag attack in St. Petersburg, Russia was at 1440 military time, because all of these are New World Order rituals, all for the same agenda, creating the Islamic boogeyman, steering the people towards deception. The word time in Jewish gematria is 144. Think about how each day there's 1,440 minutes, 24 hours times 60. The square root of 144 is 12. 12 months, 12 hours in the morning, in the evening. This is a number that naturally has a lot to do with time. Think about how the sun dictates time. It's light. Light's 144 in this method. And yesterday, in light of sharing this information, somebody told me that I should know about Nadi's energy points, which is related to the 144,000 lost tribes in Revelation of the Bible. I'd never heard of this before, this Nadi's, but I just had to type it in to see, and sure enough, 144. You know, this language is based in something. The surest time in the world, or the surest killer in the world, is time. Again, April 4th, a date that's not a stranger to tragedy. Go back through history. Look at this date in history. This is the date MLK was assassinated by the numbers. Both Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, dead at age 39. Both killed by the number 44 plus a whole lot more. With regards to today's news being about military and killing, you know, a war game, an excuse for possibly another military agenda. Military equals 44, like kill, like execution, like genocide. These numbers have so much to do with death. And again, here we are on April 4th, 4-4. Also, with regards to today's date, April 4th has gematria of 153, like Ghouta, Syria. And when this news story first happened from 2013, the Damascus attack, which was in the suburb Ghouta, where they said between 30 people and 2,000 were killed. When this story happened, it was so interesting how it all worked out. I'd been dating this girl. She was Christian, and she was really trying to persuade me to open up to Christianity. I was raised a Christian, a Lutheran, but I went away from the church at a young age. I lost my belief by the time I was 12, really before that. But when I was 12, I made it official. I got kicked out of confirmation class, asking too many questions, if you can believe it. But anyway, when this story happened in Damascus, as they were reporting at the time, I said, this is some biblical riddle. Because in 2013, I was really trying to figure out what's going on in the world. Like, I was 18 when September 11th happened, and I was asking myself, are we just making these excuses to go to war with that region of the world just for oil and controlling oil because oil is the blood of this world? Or is it something else? Is there something else going on there? And, you know, it's very clear that we've been lied to about oil. Before I was alive, they told people in the 70s that they were running out of oil. And look, the whole world's using oil now at greater and greater rates, and it's not running out. There's just so... They tell us oil takes a long time to regenerate. I don't think it's true. I think it must regenerate pretty fast for them to keep up with the world supply. And just look, since we've gone to war with those regions of the world, we've started all this extra domestic drilling, and now we're more reliant on ourselves, and of course we're tearing up the environment for this. But I just was starting to understand, even before 2013, just after watching a decade of this madness from 2001 on, that it wasn't just about oil, it was about something else. And then, you know, you just start thinking about how it's very much Christianity versus Islam. It has a lot to do with religion. And, you know, you got George W. Bush, you know, saying what a Christian he is and how we need to murder all the Muslims, just like how Ted Cruz now does. You just start to realize it's religious. It's like it's a ritual. It's recreating history. The Bible's set in that part of the world, right? We're this Christian nation all about Bible history, which is that part of the world. Well, I just knew when this Damascus false flag happened, I said, this is some Revelation prophecy warning. And I went and I read Revelation right away. And, you know, as I was reading Revelation, I just turned 30 years old when this happened. I turned 30 July 21st, 2013. And I was reading Revelation, and I was just going, you know, why are there so many numbers in the Bible? Why is the Bible just full of numbers that seem arbitrary? I mean, who honestly reads the Bible and knows what the numbers mean? There's so many numbers mentioned in the Bible, but I used to ask, you know, these types of questions when I was younger, and people didn't have the answers. Anyway, it made me start searching, like, what is the meaning of numbers? Is there something about numbers and words together? And then that's when I found the word gematria, which is technically pronounced gematria. But anyway, I like to call it gematria. I think it sounds better. And nobody even knew what it was really before I started showing everybody, right? It was only known about in synagogues and studied with Kabbalah. But anyhow, I knew that it was some biblical warning, and this is just part of some sick, you know, unnecessary agenda, recreating history. Well, look now. I mean, just look now. Ghouta, Syria, where that happened, has the same gematria as Holy Bible. And I had no idea. I didn't learn about reverse ordinal until the beginning of this year. It took me this long to learn about this gematria method. But then I saw, you know, April 4th, like today even equals 153. It's in Syria again. Biblical territory. Excuse me. This is just like WAG the Dog. Watch the film WAG the Dog. WAG the Dog foreshadowed the war that we were going to become involved in with the Clinton administration. That movie came out at the beginning of the year, the same year that the whole Kosovo thing went down. WAG the Dog foreshadowed that war would happen. That means these jokes, you know, they've been going on. And think, that whole thing was about religion too. Religious division. Today's date in regards to Holy Bible has 45 numerology. The word Holy Bible forwards and backwards is 45, just like Gutenberg, which is the name of the first printed Bible. You know? From Isaiah 17:1. The burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. You know, this is one of the Bible prophecies, foreshadowing, you know, the end. This is taken into Revelation, the final book of the Bible, about the destruction of the earth before the return of Jesus, the Messiah. And what doesn't make any sense about Revelation is it concludes the New Testament, which is the Christian part of the Bible, but it's based on the 39 books of the Old Testament, which the Jewish faith goes by. And so it takes all the prophecy from the Old Testament and creates, you know, the next part of the story. But it's just such a, I mean, just when you read the Bible, it's like, okay, what kind of God is this? For his son to return, the whole earth has to be destroyed? I mean, it's just all sickness, it's all war, it's all terrorism, it's all what this world is from the people who control it. And think about what religion in the Bible is. It is control, just like government. Government means mind control. Terrorism, fear, or terrorism, government by intimidation. The Bible is so intimidating. Believe or else, or burn in the hellfire. When you really just start to look at what this world is and all the things that are given to you that you're supposed to follow, it's not hard to see what's being done here. And it's all done to us from a young age. Religion's put on us from a young age. You just got to find your courage and use your brain that God gave you and go, okay, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, all right, moving on. So here's the conflicting reports about the death toll. Here they say 67 to 58, and then you go down to the next paragraph, and 50 to 300, and up to 100 dead, 400 injured. It's not as bad as it was in 2013, 30 to 2,000 people dead, but it's just like, I mean, if you're going to put out the story, give us the information. Shouldn't be this hard to collect the facts. But it always is in these false flags, and that's just how it is in WAG the Dog. They put out conflicting information because it messes with the heads of the people, and that's the whole point of it. You know? Just like on September 11th, they can't find the planes, but they can find the cloth turbans, the box cutter knives, the paper passports that the terrorists had. That doesn't make any sense. They tell us the terrorists are from Saudi Arabia and the Israelis are there documenting the attack. Our allies who we give the billions to. And then we go to war with other countries. Nothing is supposed to make sense. Also, with regards to September 11th, I love that Bashar al-Assad's birthday is September 11th. I love that his name's September 11th. Has the same gematria as Synagogue of Satan. And oh, by the way, I have a video from 2014 on the Arab League and Bashar al-Assad. The Arab League is the small government body created for the Middle Eastern nations right after World War II that was established on March 22nd. 22/3, the Synagogue of Satan. Bashar al-Assad, in this video clip I uploaded, if you go back and find the video, search for Gaddafi. It's my video on Gaddafi in the Arab League. Gaddafi, just before his death, gave a speech at the Arab League, and he said, what we all stood by and watched happen to Saddam Hussein will happen to us next. He said Saddam Hussein was innocent. He didn't have anything to do with September 11th. He got his country destroyed. He got his sons murdered. And he got hung. And he said, we're going to be next. And the whole time he's given that speech, for whatever reason, who's ever filming that camera, they keep going to Bashar al-Assad. They keep going from the man speaking, Gaddafi, to Bashar al-Assad. And Bashar al-Assad, what he reminded me of was the Middle East George Bush. It's like he wasn't even paying attention to this serious speech. And he's like looking around, snickering, laughing. I'm thinking, what kind of psychopath is this? Here's a man in the room speaking about how one of them could be next. The camera keeps going to him who's snickering and laughing. But now you just see what it is. It's because they know it's all a big show. I'm not exactly sure what happened to Gaddafi. I mean, they put out that footage of him getting beaten on the ground, and they say he was murdered right after that. But was it all just for show? Is Gaddafi really still alive? I don't know. But I do know that Gaddafi gave that speech. And I do know that the camera kept going to Bashar al-Assad, who looked like a little kid in a classroom that was bored and having funny thoughts in his head. You know, you can just see what it is. It's a puppet show. That's the point to take away. Bashar al-Assad also shares the gematria of the Synagogue of Satan, just like 223, Arab League established March 22nd. John McCain's already on the TV this morning. You know, you're not allowed to make threats against U.S. elected officials. It's a felony. So I can't say what I want to say, but this old piece of shit is just a fucking scumbag. All he does is get on the TV and call for war with everyone without even a second of thinking about it, and it's all bullshit. This guy probably has the most gaping asshole in all of Washington, D.C., because that's what these Zionist Jews do to their puppets. You want to be a puppet? You want to be the man on the TV? You want to get paid by me, the Zionist? Bend over and drop your pants down. For those of you who watched the Grammys, those two goofballs that went up there with their pants down, their story was all bullshit. The real story was they got fucked in their ass to get their song on the radio and get a Grammy, and the reason they went up there in their boxer shorts was a reminder of that. And they weren't the first two. It's just that things are getting more explicit and more out in front of our face. And if I'm disgusting you with my words, don't shoot the messenger. I'm not the one that set up the secret society about fucking goats in the ass and fucking people in the ass. There's a reason the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is at the beginning of the Jewish Old Testament. Look at what they do in their synagogues. Circumcise, mutilate the penises of the babies, then they pass around the baby whose dick's bleeding and drop the blood in their mouths. What is that? I'm sorry, I don't want to live in a nation with freedom of religion. I don't want to live next to people that cut the skin off of dicks and then drink the blood from babies like these Jewish cocksuckers do. You know? If you're not as mad as me, it's because you like getting fucked in your ass. I don't. I've been speaking out since 2001. I've seen the ass fucking. So I'm going to link these posts. Be sure to check out my April Fool's Day video if you missed it. This is another April Fool's Day special on April 4th. To go back in time, it was August 21st, 2013. that supposedly there was the chemical weapons attack in Syria. We'll talk about why that date's interesting. And then it was August 31st that it was put up to a vote, which failed. And Trump said that this was Obama's biggest mistake as president, putting up this vote. He said if it was him as president, he would have just went right in and attacked and removed Bashar al-Assad. So now Trump's in a weird position. He just said this months ago, but then just days ago he said Syria's off the table. I'm not interested in regime change over there. But now this happened, you know. Again, it's all part of a contrived narrative. We'll see where they take it. But the date of the attack, August 21st. Oh, by the way, Ghouta chemical attack equals 74. Remember, this is happening 74 days after Trump takes office. The date of the Ghouta attack was a date with 42 numerology. The word Freemason's 42. So is the word war. So is World War. In case you're new here, War 42, World War and Reduction 42. Remember how we got into World War II? Look at the 114. Pearl Harbor. You want to know the most bogus story that never happened in World War II? The Holocaust. When spelled correctly. Holocaust. And you see this 33? 33, number of Masonic obsession, number of Zionist prophecy. With the S exception, or the single reduction as Derek's now renamed it, Holocaust equals 42. And don't forget the Holocaust began in 42. Because it's all propaganda by the numbers for agenda. Israel was decided as a nation before World War I even began. That's why they don't teach us about World War I in the U.S. They don't want us to know the truth. With regards to 42, FDR first proposed that we get involved in World War II on April 2nd, 1941, before the Pearl Harbor attack, which was blamed on Japan for another 42, by the way. Japan, like war, that got us in the war. Think about how Pearl Harbor recently become a state just down there by Japan. It's the New World Order. All these nations' leaders are in bed together. They don't care about their people. They sell out their people to stay in power, to stay in control. You know, they'll start wars and have people murder each other needlessly for their agenda. This is the sick game that's up. But anyway, FDR on April 2nd made the first move, and then Congress voted on April 4th, 1941, 4-4. If you don't think 44 has to do with military, you think what I'm showing you is coincidence, let's look at the NATO date of establishment. NATO date of establishment, April 4th. 4-4. You know? Here we are on the anniversary. It's the 68-year anniversary. Donald Trump's also on the record saying he wants to get out of NATO. You know, all this stuff that he said while he was on the campaign trail, he hasn't really talked about while president, but he did say he wants to get out of NATO. Remember how Obama went to Berlin, Germany to talk about this right after Donald Trump was announced as the 45th president on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall? See what a joke it is, Truth Seeker? And the joke with the wall is way bigger. I have a million videos on Donald Trump and the wall and everything going on with that. But this is what it is. The whole world's a theater stage. It's all a show. These puppets are selling us out. But they're selling us out with fake news and creating real problems. Our tax money's fleeced. Our liberties are lost. Young people are sent off to wars needlessly. Help get out the word, Truth Seeker. You know, it's amazing to me how this work hasn't taken off. 3 years of demonstrating this. People just aren't up for it, are they, Truth Seeker? In case you don't know what those Zionist Jews think about the masses, they call the non-Jews Goy. And remember, the Goy are dumb. The Goy are gullible. The Goy are easily tricked. The Goy are meant to be slaves. The purpose of the Goy's existence is to support the Jewish people so they shouldn't have to work. The labor of the Goy should support those who are Jewish. These are the true beliefs of the Talmud. And these are the true things that are happening in this world. So, you know, you don't want to listen to what I'm saying? I guess you're just a Goy. Until next time.